It's something of a relief to know that in a short while the Governor of the Bank of England, I'm not really reading palms here, I'm not really offering some sort of fortune telling. This is a proleptic statement. It is inevitable. It was inevitable in 2016. It is inevitable now. It is more inevitable now given the chaos that Brexit has caused. But, you know, the remarks by Andrew Bailey, the Governor of the Bank of England, in a rare and striking departure from his usual neutral stance. He is set to announce the impact of Brexit in a speech at the prestigious Mansion House event, and he's to say that we need to move closer to Europe. These comments are likely to be among the strongest yet on this subject and will likely provoke both economic and political ripples. Since the 2016 referendum, the UK's withdrawal from the European Union has been a polarising and complex topic that has done nobody any good. Nobody is able to stand up and say these are the benefits of Brexit because they have never occurred. It's a catastrophe that has shaped national discourse, economic policy, gloom and depression. And Bailey's position, as he has carefully maintained, is not to comment on Brexit from a political standpoint, but rather to assess and articulate its consequences, which are dire. Let's be clear, they are dire. And this evening he will underscore the tangible effect Brexit has had on trade and growth, emphasising that while services such as banking have fared perhaps better than expected, goods trade, especially in sectors like food and agriculture, has faced considerable headwinds because of the newly imposed barriers which could have been anticipated, which should have been anticipated, which were ignored by the twits who put things on the side of the bus which were simply untrue. In making his point, Bailey will highlight a truth that has resonated with economists and analysts alike. Brexit has led to a reduction in the openness of the UK economy. The figures align with this assessment. The budget for the Office for Budget Responsibility, along with other independent experts, estimate a 4% economic hit over the 15 years attributed to Brexit. This is no small number when considered against the backdrop of broader economic challenges, including the global disruptions from the pandemic and the geopolitical tensions of Putin. But Bailey's speech will not merely be an autopsy of past decisions, not like the sort of things that I would say. It will call, let's hope, for a strategic pivot, advocating for a rebuild of relations with the EU, an aim that crucially must respect the choice made by the British public in 2016, in some form, at least lip service to that stupidity. His remarks signal an acceptance of the changed relationship because changing it back will be almost impossible. But we also need to acknowledge the need to find opportunities within this new framework, this exile, to forge a relationship. This nuanced approach hints at potential avenues for greater economic collaboration without revisiting the fundamental question of EU membership, a position that aligns interestingly with the current government's stance of strengthening partnerships without rejoining. But sometimes we have to. At some point we must. Bailey's speech also comes at a time when the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has expressed openness to exploring better arrangements with the EU, and this delicate recalibration reflects a broader recognition across the political spectrum. The UK must balance the preservation of sovereignty with the pragmatism required for economic resilience and progress. As Spain's Finance Minister Carlos Cuerpo remarked, optimism for a better deal remains viable, a sentiment that aligns with Bailey's cautious encouragement for renewed ties. But Brexit is not the only subject of the Governor's address. Bailey will also touch upon what he perceives as a deeper issue, the fragmentation of the global economy. This warning comes in the middle of concerns about economic nationalism and protectionist policies, with echoes of recent shifts in US policy under Donald Trump. As noted by economist Vicky Price, Trump's proposed tariffs, including a hefty 20% tax on all imports and a 60% levy on Chinese goods, they pose further challenges. For the UK, maintaining its historic transatlantic relationship may prove increasingly difficult if US policies veer towards true isolationism while the need for robust EU trade persists. The speech by Bailey will intersect with remarks by Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who will present her plans to address domestic economic woes, particularly the pension system. And Reeves will argue that the UK has been overly cautious, regulating for risk at the expense of growth, and her proposal to merge council pension pots aims to create larger investment pools that could yield higher returns, a strategy not without its critics who warn of potential risks. But she did the budget the other day. She's not averse to risks, even if the nation suffers. Reeves' comments, as much as they complement Bailey's analysis, will also shine a spotlight on another economic Achilles heel: stagnating productivity. Bailey will emphasise that the UK's productivity woes predate Brexit, tracing back to the 2008 financial crisis. Although Europe shares in these struggles, the US has maintained comparatively stronger growth, underscoring a transatlantic gap that UK policymakers are keen to bridge. The Mansion House event, therefore, encapsulates not just a moment for reflecting on Brexit, but also serves as a platform for charting a forward-looking path, as forward-looking as we can possibly be, with the government pledging to reset relations with European partners and improve trade frameworks, and Bailey's pointed reminder that Brexit's consequences are ongoing sets a sombre tone. Yet his call for renewed cooperation, albeit with a nod to respecting democratic choices, offers a constructive note in the middle of these challenges. And as we await his full speech, with bated breath, though most of it seems to have been leaked, implications for businesses, policymakers and the public are clear. The UK stands at a juncture, a crossroads, where rebuilding and realigning are essential not just for trade but for the nation's economic standing on the global stage. In acknowledging the complexities of Brexit, the catastrophe of its implementation and global fragmentation alike, Bailey signals a need for the UK to engage with agility, foresight and openness to new balanced partnerships if we can't actually rejoin immediately.